Tonight, Patriots were connecting the dots to paint a chilling picture. 350 FEMA trucks mysteriously appear at a Michigan airbase strategically positioned near Wisconsin's contested election sites. Coincidence? Not likely. The same agency caught discriminating against Trump supporters is now staging massive resources in specific counties. Meanwhile, Wisconsin's Senate race flips through statistically impossible vote dumps. So what do they know that we don't, and why this location, and why now? Well, our sources suggest these aren't separate events. They're pieces of a larger operation that should terrify every American patriot. Now, patriots, while FEMA positions their resources, you need to position yourself for safety on the road. Just like we're tracking suspicious FEMA movements, your dash cam could be tracking crucial evidence when you need it most. Recent reports show drivers with dash cams are dramatically less likely to be found at fault in traffic incidents. In times of uncertainty, video proof is your best defense. So get CarVision X's 4K Ultra HD dash cam with night vision and 24/7 motion detection. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit carvisionx.com now for free express shipping and exclusive bonuses. Protect yourself while we protect your freedoms. Okay, so we've been tracking this FEMA story that the Daily Wire broke, and it appears to be much darker than we first considered. It appears that this was not an isolated incident, and I was afraid this would become true. As you know, there was a FEMA agent who told directives to the people below her to avoid going to houses with Trump signs. Now, I don't believe. I'm like, okay, was this really an isolated incident? I don't think it was. I think it was just one person who got caught. Now we're learning something even more sinister.
I certainly, if it was happening in Lake Placid, it's happening all across the great state of Florida, probably happening in western North Carolina, probably happening all of the states that were hit by Hurricane Helene. And that's what we in Congress need to get to the bottom of. The FEMA administration wants to say this was an isolated incident, but there is alleged text messages from Washington, D.C. to the supervisor advising them and directing them to do this. So somebody higher up within FEMA was advising the people on the ground to do this. So if it was happening in Lake Placid, I can guarantee you it was happening in other places all across the great state of Florida and the country. And the Oversight Committee needs to get to the bottom of this. And the very first stop would be the person who was fired, put them under oath, and ask them who in their chain of command was directing her to do this.
That'd be some interesting testimony. You touched on this a moment ago. Ron DeSantis, your governor, sent this out on X. The blatant weaponization of government by partisan activists in the federal bureaucracy is yet another reason why the Biden-Harris administration is in its final days. Did you reflect on that at all, that last point there? Coming off this election?
Well, that's the other great thing about that. Yeah, that's the great thing about these election results is Donald Trump's going to be president in a short couple of months, and we will get to the bottom of it because somebody in his administration will take over FEMA and will do its own investigation after the Biden-Harris administration is out of there. So we'll get the answers at some point, but I want to know how high up these decisions went, and every single person in that chain of command that was involved and or responsible for directing people who work for FEMA to not give FEMA aid to Trump supporters is absolutely atrocious.
Well, it appears FEMA did the right thing and terminated this individual. Had they not, we may never know the truth about it. Greg.
Well, I think why stop at firing? This person needs to have criminal charges. Who knows, of those families that were skipped over, how many of them were perhaps in dire circumstances that required immediate medical assistance or immediate aid or immediate support? Oh, they just skip over them because they got Trump signs? And where else did this happen? So this, in my opinion, much more needs to be done. Remember this, though? See, before I get into what's happening in Wisconsin and in Michigan, they told us that we were just conspiracy theorists when we said that they were neglecting Trump supporters in the hurricane response. That's what the media told you. But that narrative has now been completely shattered. And once again, we were proven right, as evidenced by this.
FEMA's not
politicizing a natural disaster, what FEMA is warning about.
The only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump, falsely claiming that the administration is withholding resources because of political affiliation. That is just not true.
Hurricane Milton victims in Florida may have been denied help for being Trump supporters. A FEMA official has now been fired for telling relief workers to bypass homes with Trump vans campaign signs.
They then turn around and go, see, FEMA's not coming to help you because it's a Republican area. And then people go, see, no, not see. You've got to see for the first time in your life, if you're MAGA, Donald Trump is a con man using you as his mark. Donald Trump's a ridiculous, pathetic liar.
Well, the Federal Emergency Management Agency is facing major backlash after confirming reports that a supervisor ordered disaster relief workers to avoid homes with Trump yard signs.
What would you say to people propagating misinformation about the emergency response to these storms?
Stop politicizing FEMA.
Elon Musk is hopping about the country, spewing and tweeting political falsehoods and attacking FEMA while claiming his desire to help the hurricane victims with free Starlink access to the internet.
Donald Trump is literally putting lives at risk right now. If you can't trust FEMA and trust basic weather reports, for example, which he's questioned in the past.
Elon Musk, the richest man in the world and top Trump ally, has also pushed lies about the hurricane to his millions of followers on the social media platform he owns.
Now, unfortunately, tragically, quite frankly, it is politicized.
The only person who is politicizing this is Donald Trump. He's the one guy doing it.
The Daily Wire obtained private messages showing a FEMA official instructing hurricane relief workers there to avoid homes with Trump signs.
Before Hurricane Milton has even made landfall, the former president is already, and for the second time in almost as many weeks, politicized the federal response.
Look, situations like this where people desperately do need help should not be politicized.
This kind of misinformation is making people fear that the government is not going to be there to help them when they are.
Politics and the rampant disinformation that's being peddled by Donald Trump and some Republicans.
This is what a FEMA spokesperson said. They posted this on X. FEMA has what it needs for immediate response and recovery efforts. But there's we're just, sort of lost at sea in this tide of disinformation.
Secretary of Homeland Security warned FEMA is running out of money.
FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
Why does Donald Trump continue to insist on politicizing the storm?
He was politicizing this hurricane response, saying that it's been a terrible response from the White House.
Donald Trump wasted little time politicizing this tragedy even further than he already has.
Trump, again, trying to politicize the response to the hurricane.
The Biden administration is effectively handling this. They're just not politicizing it as Donald Trump is.
About 20 damaged homes were reportedly ignored by FEMA because of the residents' political affiliation. FEMA is now handing over the matter to the Office of Special Counsel.
So thanks to Tom Elliott and Grabian for compiling that. Clearly, we were right again. So that FEMA supervisor who allegedly advised workers to bypass homes with Trump signs was fired. But this is what's really got people up in arms. FEMA. And a lot of people were messaging me saying, Gary, you got to get into this, investigate. So this is what I've discovered. FEMA is staging 350 semi-trucks of supplies at a decommissioned Air Force base in Michigan. Now, this is a current photograph of the location that was captured by a friend who visited the location for MJ Truth Ultra. As of today, there aren't any large semi-trucks being staged there. However, there are quite a few large containers. My friend is unsure if they've been there for a while or if they're new, so best to assume that they're older, and they will be checking on this location as we get more information. But there's other information that's really concerning. Did you see this? This is the actual, listen to the supervisor out of Michigan. Okay, why is FEMA staging 350 semi-trucks full of equipment in Michigan at a decommissioned Air Force base for emergency situation pertaining to 6 specific Michigan counties? Someone sent me this and wished to stay anonymous, but urged me to look into it. On October 28th, 2024, a township meeting occurred in Michigan. They stated that FEMA will be staging 350 semi-trailers for equipment for emergency situations specific to 6 unnamed counties. Why 6? Why these specific 6? If you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. Nothing to be scared about. Yeah. So let's listen.
Much change. There's not much change other than our projects are moving along. Next would be the report, the airport report. That would be me. The airport was just notified that FEMA has chosen the airport facility as a stationing hub for emergency services through FEMA. They will be serving 6 counties in this area, and they will be bringing in some 350 semi-trailers with equipment to park on the base. So if you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. It's nothing to get scared about. They're staging for emergency situations in any of these 6 counties that FEMA takes care of. And Mr. Freeman is in the house. Yeah, that's perfect. And just one other item from the airport. They are working on the paperwork to submit for the grant to build a new terminal at the airport. So that we saw perspective pictures of what it would look like, and it will be fantastic. Yep. It'll be slightly smaller than what we have now, but it'll be a beautiful building. So it's
so we're going to have a big, new, beautiful building with a bunch of semi-trailers parked behind it, huh?
One of the semis will be a ways away from the terminal.
Fair enough.
Okay, so the question's being asked, why is FEMA staging emergency equipment in areas not currently experiencing any kind of emergency? What kind of equipment is being staged and for what purpose? What emergency situations are they preparing for in those 6 counties? If anyone has any info on this or would like to expose what's happening, DM MJ Truth Ultra. But here's where it gets interesting, okay? This is where it gets really interesting. Kennedy Agent 219 posted this. Those 6 Michigan counties receiving 350 FEMA trucks are lined up from east to west coast in alignment, Michigan, east coast, west coast, Michigan, in alignment with Racine, Wisconsin, in direct alignment. I've been expecting an earthquake or explosion. I believe it's sub-tunnel time. So look at this map. You can see where Racine is by the big arrow, and directly across, almost exactly across, is the counties where the FEMA situation is unfolding. If you look here a little closer, you can see the 6 counties in question in Michigan, and the arrows pointing to Racine, Wisconsin. So people are drawing a connection directly to Wisconsin from Michigan. What's going on there? Well, what we do know is that there was a massive cheat that took place. Now, there was a cheat in Arizona, and I bring this up because we're talking about what happened in Wisconsin as well. Donald Trump won 52% of the vote in Arizona. Kamala Harris, 46%. Now, look at the numbers there. Donald Trump received 1.5 million votes. But why would Kari Lake only receive 1.37 million votes? You would think that everybody would just vote down ticket and she would have some almost identical numbers to Donald Trump. But here's what gets even crazier. Kamala Harris received 1.332 million and Ruben Gallego 1.409. Ruben Gallego in Arizona got more votes than Kamala Harris. And Donald Trump got more votes than Kari Lake. If you need any more evidence of hanky-panky going on in Arizona, there it is right there in black and white. So both Kari Lake and Ruben Gallego got significantly more votes than Kamala Harris. The only time this ever happened was in 2020 when Mark Kelly got more votes than Joe Biden. In every other Arizona election, the Senate candidates got less votes. Okay, so what else could be going on? We've got this. Canada detects its first presumptive human H5 bird flu case. And how close is Michigan to Canada? You know. So FEMA is staging 350 semi-trucks full of unknown equipment in Eaton, Ingham, Ionia, Kent, Livingston, and Macomb County. Here again is the map. Now, Shevet AF says, I live south of Kent County. We've had earthquakes here before, but I don't remember FEMA showing up for them. What is going on? If we get one, I'll let you know. Also this, CNN correspondents, federal workers report PTSD over Trump's return. We are in a new dystopian hellscape. So federal workers are in a new dystopian hellscape. We have FEMA receiving directives or giving directives to avoid Trump homes. Now they're staging equipment in Michigan directly across from Wisconsin.
As Schedule F. Quote, there is a feeling of dread among everyone. CNN's Renee Marsh is with us now. Renee, what are you hearing?
Well, John, we are in a new dystopian hellscape. That is from a federal employee via text message last night, and that is the mindset of many of the 2 million federal workers anticipating Donald Trump's return to office. Now, to be clear, what Donald Trump is promising for federal workers is unlike anything we have seen in our lifetime. He's proposing reverting to a structure of government that existed 141 years ago, when political parties gave government jobs to their supporters. And that's what has federal workers who I'm speaking to so anxious and so scared about Trump's plan known as Schedule F. Now, it would give him the power to start these mass firings of nonpartisan career employees perceived as disloyal, who may get in the way of his policy actions at these agencies. As you know, Trump has obsessed on the campaign trail about the idea of federal workers being agents of the deep state working against him and his agenda. Now, some of the employees who lived through the first Trump administration say they are experiencing PTSD. One saying, quote, we are absolutely having conversations amongst ourselves about whether we can stomach a round two.
Whether we can stomach a round two. Well, you don't have much of a choice. He's your boss now. Okay, so let's continue. Evidence suggests voter fraud in Wisconsin Senate race. Look at that. Where have we seen this before? This was the Wisconsin Senate race. All of a sudden, mysterious ballot drops in the middle of the night. Are they worried that people might get upset, start rioting? We have this, New York Times, Trump's false claims about federal response to Hurricane Helene, neglecting areas that had voted for Republicans, but now, same headline, same news outlet, New York Times, FEMA fires employee for telling Milton relief workers to skip houses with Trump signs. Evidence suggesting voter fraud in Wisconsin Senate race. In Milwaukee, a huge and improbable Democrat vote dump flipped the race. In Dane and Winnebago, updates implausibly all improved Democrat vote share relative to prior votes. Updates got more extreme after GOP pulled ahead. This is the bigger picture of the one I just showed you. So, in a state directly across from where FEMA is staging, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but it's like they're right across from each other. You've got bird flu in Canada, a human transmission now. You got a stolen election in Wisconsin. You got FEMA workers in Florida rejecting to help Trump supporters. And now you've got millions of federal workers who have PTSD living in a dystopian nightmare. 4 counties in Michigan find over 26,000 votes days after the election. Several seats flip from Democrat to Republican, including one Michigan House seat. So all of this stinks. But we're going to continue to watch as more information becomes available. We'll continue to track the story and see what kind of photographs come out of this FEMA staging ground. But that's the current situation there with all these suspicious activities in the orbit of this location. But I think this is probably the most compelling piece of information. That something is going on directly across from Wisconsin and the location where FEMA is. So we're going to track this. The evidence is mounting. FEMA's strategic positioning, the Wisconsin vote irregularities, the timing, it all points to a coordinated effort. They're preparing for something, and the American people deserve to know what it is. So as we've uncovered tonight, the trucks aren't just parked, they are positioned. The vote isn't just irregular, it's engineered, and FEMA isn't just preparing, they're planning. So my question for our viewers is, what do you think those 350 FEMA trucks are really carrying? And why do you think that they chose these specific counties in Michigan? Share your theories in the comments below.